Reddit stories, the trucker. This happened a few years back. I was doing long-haul, mostly cross-country routes, the kind that take you through vast stretches of nothing. You know, the ones where the radio turns to static for hours, and the only sign of life is the occasional pair of headlights going the other way, miles apart. I was young, eager for the miles, the money, and didn't mind the solitude also. I thought the route I was on took me across a long, desolate stretch of highway that ran between the borders of two large government territories. I don't want to say exactly where, but think big empty spaces, lots of trees, not much else. It was notorious among drivers for being a dead zone. No signal, no towns for 100 miles either side, and prone to weird weather. Most guys tried to hit it during daylight, but schedules are schedules. Mine had me crossing it deep in the night. I remember the feeling utter blackness outside, the sweep of my headlights, the kind of dark that feels like it's pressing in on the cab. The only sounds were the drone of the diesel engine, the hiss of the air brakes now and then, and the rhythmic thrum of the tires on asphalt. Hypnotic, too hypnotic. I'd been driving for about 10 hours. With a short break a few states back, coffee was wearing off. The dashboard lights were a dull green glow, comforting in a way, but also making the darkness outside seem even more absolute. My eyelids felt like they had lead weights attached. You fight it, you know, slap your face, roll down the window for a blast of cold air, crank up whatever music you can find that hasn't dissolved into static. I was doing all of that. It must have been around 2 or 3 a.m. I was in that weird state where you're not quite asleep, but not fully awake either, like your brain is running on low power mode. The white lines on the road were starting to blur, together, stretching and warping, standard fatigue stuff. I remember blinking hard, trying to refocus. That's when I saw it, or thought I saw it. Just a flicker at the edge of my headlights, on the right shoulder of the road, small, low to the ground. For a split second, I registered a shape, vaguely human-like, and then it was gone, swallowed by the darkness as I passed. My first thought, deer or a coyote. Common enough, but it hadn't moved like an animal. It had been upright my brain. Sluggish as it was, tried to process it. Too small for an adult. Too still for an animal startled by a rig. Then the logical part, the part that was still trying to keep me safe, on the road chimed in. You're tired, seeing things happens. And I almost accepted that. I really did. Shook my head, took a swig of lukewarm water from the bottle beside me, kept my eyes glued to the road ahead. The image, though, it kind of stuck a small upright shape like a child. No way, I told myself, out here, middle of nowhere, middle of the night, impossible. Kids don't just wander around on inter-territorial highways at 3:00 a.m. It had to be a trick of the light. A bush, my eyes playing games. I've seen weirder things born of exhaustion. Shadows that dance, trees that look like figures. It's part of the job when you're pushing limits. I drove on for maybe another 30 seconds, the image fading. My rational mind starting to win, just a figment. Then I glanced at my passenger side mirror. Habit, always checking, and my blood went cold. Not just cold. It felt like it turned to slush there, illuminated faintly by the red glow of my trailer. Lights receding into the distance was the reflection of a small figure, standing on the shoulder of the road, exactly where I thought I'd seen something. It wasn't a bush, it wasn't a shadow. It was small, and it was definitely standing there unmoving. As my truck pulled further and further away, my heart started hammering against my ribs. This wasn't fatigue, this was real. There was someone, something back there, and it looked tiny. Every instinct screamed at me danger. Wrong, keep going. But another voice, the one that makes us human. I suppose whispered something else. A kid alone out here, what if they're hurt, lost? I fought with myself for a few seconds that stretched into an eternity. The image in the mirror was getting smaller, fainter. If I didn't act now, they'd be lost to the darkness again. God, the thought of leaving a child out there, if that's what it was, against my better judgment, against that primal urge to just floor it. I made a decision. I slowed the rig. The air brakes hissing like angry snakes. Pulled over to the shoulder, the truck groaning in protest. Put on my hazards, their rhythmic flashing, cutting into the oppressive blackness. Then I did what you're never supposed to do. With a full trailer on a narrow shoulder, I started to reverse slowly, carefully, my eyes flicking between the mirrors, trying to keep the trailer straight, trying to relocate that tiny figure. The crunch of gravel under the tires sounded unnaturally loud. It took a minute, maybe two, but it felt like an hour. The red glow of my tail lights eventually washed over the spot again, and there it was, a kid. I stopped the truck, so my cab was roughly alongside them, maybe 10 feet away, switched on the high beams, hoping to get a better look, and also to make myself clearly visible as just a truck, not something else. The kid was small, really small. I guess maybe 6-7 years old. Hard to tell in the glare. They were just standing there on the very edge of the gravel shoulder, right where the trees began. The woods pressed in close. On this stretch of road, tall, dark pines, and dense undergrowth that looked like a solid, black wall just beyond the reach of my lights. The kid wasn't looking at me. They were facing sort of parallel to the road, just walking slowly like they were on a stroll, completely oblivious to the massive 18-wheeler that had just pulled up beside them. Engine, rumbling, lights blazing. They were wearing what looked like pajamas. Thin, light-colored pajamas in the chill of the night. No coat, no shoes that I could see. My mind reeled. This was wrong. So many levels of wrong, I killed the engine. The sudden silence was almost deafening, amplifying the crickets. The rustle of leaves in the woods. From a breeze I couldn't feel. In the cab, my heart was still thumping. A weird mix of fear and adrenaline, and a dawning sense of responsibility. I rolled down the window. The night air hit me, cold and damp, carrying the scent of pine and wet earth. "Hey," I called out. My voice sounded hoarse, too loud in the quiet. "Hey, kid." No response. They just kept walking, one small barefoot in front of the other, at a pace that was taking them absolutely nowhere fast. Their head was down slightly. I couldn't see their face properly. "Kid, are you okay?" I tried again, louder, this time slowly. So slowly the kid stopped. They didn't turn their head fully, just sort of angled it a fraction, enough that I could see a pale sliver of cheek in the spill of my headlights. Still not looking at me, still ignoring the multi-ton machine idling beside them. A prickle of unease ran down my spine, not the normal kind of unease. This was deeper, colder. Animals act weird sometimes, but kids, a lost kid, should be scared. Relieved something. This one was nothing. "What are you doing out here all alone?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm, friendly, like you're supposed to with a scared kid, even though this one didn't seem scared at all. It's the middle of the night. Silence, just the sound of their bare feet, scuffing softly on the gravel, as they took another step, then another, as if my presence was a minor inconvenience, a background noise they were choosing to ignore. This wasn't right. My internal alarm bells were clanging louder now. My hand hovered near the joystick. Part of me wanted to slam it into drive and get the hell out of there. But the image of this tiny child alone, possibly in shock, I couldn't just leave. Could I? Where are your parents? I pushed my voice a bit sharper than I intended. Are you lost? Finally, the kid stopped walking completely. They turned their head just a little more, still not looking directly at my cab, more towards the front of my truck into the glare of the headlights. I could see their face a bit better now, pale, featureless in the harsh light, like a porcelain doll small. Dark smudges that might have been eyes. No expression, none. Not fear, not sadness. Not relief, just blank. An unreadable slate, then a voice small, thin like the rustle of dry leaves. Lost just that one word. It hung in the air between us. Relief washed over me quickly, followed by a fresh wave of concern. Okay, Lost, that's something I can deal with. Okay, kid, Lost is okay, we can fix Lost. Where do you live? Where were you going? The kid finally, slowly, turned their head fully towards my cab. Towards me. I still couldn't make out much detail in their face. The angle, the light. Something was obscuring it, keeping it in a sort of shadowy vagueness. Despite the headlights, but I could feel their gaze. It wasn't like a normal kid's look. There was a weight to it, an intensity. That was deeply unsettling for such a small form. Home, the kid said, that same thin, reedy voice. Trying to get home, right home. Where is home, I asked, leaning forward a bit, trying to project reassurance. Is it near here? Did you wander off from a campsite? A car, there were no campsites for miles. No broken down cars on the shoulder. I knew that. The kid didn't answer that question directly. Instead, they took a small step towards the truck, then another. My hand tensed on the door handle, ready to open it to offer what? A ride shelter. I didn't know it's cold out here. I said, stating the obvious. You should get in. We can get you warm, and I can call for help. When we get to a spot with a signal, my CB was useless, just static. My phone had shown no service for the last hour. The kid stopped about 5 feet from my passenger door, still in that pale thin pajama-like outfit, barefoot on the sharp gravel. They should be shivering, crying. They were doing neither can you help me. The kid asked, the voice was still small, but there was a different inflection to it now. Less flat, a hint of something else. Bleeding, maybe, yeah. Of course I can help you, I said. That's why I stopped. Where are your parents? How did you get here? The kid tilted their head. A jerky, unnatural little movement. They're waiting at home, okay? And where's home? Which direction? I gestured vaguely up and down the empty highway. The kid didn't point down the road. They made a small, subtle, with their head a little nod towards the trees, towards the impenetrable darkness of the woods. Lining the highway in there, the kid said my stomach clenched. In the woods, your home is in the woods. Lost, the kid repeated, as if that explained everything. Trying to find the path, it's dark. Yeah, it's very dark, I agreed. My eyes scanning the tree line. It looked like a solid wall of black. No sign of any path, any habitation. Just dense old-growth forest. The kind of place you could get lost in for days. Even in daylight, can you come out? The kid asked, help me look. It's not far, I can't see it from here. Every rational thought in my head screamed no. Get out of the truck in the middle of nowhere, in the pitch dark with this strange child who wanted me to go into those woods. No, absolutely not. But the kid looked so small, so vulnerable if there was even a tiny chance. They were telling the truth, that their house was just a little way in, and they were genuinely lost. Hey, I don't think that's a good idea, buddy, I said, trying to sound gentle. It's dangerous in there at night for both of us. Best thing is for you to hop in here with me. We'll drive until we get a signal, and then we'll call the police or the rangers. They can help find your home properly. The kid just stood there that blank, unreadable face fixed on me. But it's right there, they insisted. Their voice a little more insistent now. Just a little way, I can almost see it. If you just step out, The light from your door would help. My skin was crawling. There was something profoundly wrong with this scenario. The way they were trying to coax me out. The lack of normal emotional response. The pajamas, the bare feet. The woods. I looked closer at the kid, trying to pierce that strange vagueness around their features. My headlights were bright, but it was like they absorbed the light, rather than reflected it their eyes. I still couldn't really see their eyes, just dark hollows. I really think you should get in the truck. I said, my voice firmer now. It's warmer in here, we can figure it out together. The kid took another step closer. They were almost at my running board. Now please. They said, that reedy voice again. My leg hurts. I can't walk much further. If you could just help me a little. Just to the path my internal conflict was raging. My trucker instincts, honed by years of seeing weird stuff and hearing weirder stories. At truck stops were blaring warnings. But the human part, the part that saw a child in distress, was still there, still arguing. I was tired, so damn tired. Maybe I wasn't thinking straight. Maybe this was all some bizarre misunderstanding. I squinted, trying to see past the kid, towards the tree line they'd indicated. Was there a faint trail? I was missing a flicker of light deep in the woods. No, nothing. Just blackness, solid and yielding blackness. And then I saw it. It wasn't something I saw clearly at first. It was more like an anomaly, a disturbance in the darkness behind the kid. The kid was standing with their back, mostly to the woods facing my truck. Behind them, the darkness of the forest was absolute, or it should have been, but there was something connected to them, something that stretched from the small of their back, from under the thin pajama top, and disappeared into the deeper shadows of the trees. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, a weird shadow cast by my headlights, hitting them at an odd angle. Maybe a rope they were dragging, a piece of clothing snagged on a branch. I leaned forward, trying to get a clearer view. The kid was still talking, their voice so low, persistent murmur. It's not far, please just help me. I'm so cold. But I wasn't really listening to the words anymore. I was focused on that thing behind them. It wasn't a rope, it wasn't a shadow. It was a tube, a long, dark, thick tube. It seemed to emerge directly from the kid's lower back, impossibly seamlessly. It was dark matter, like a strip of the night itself, given form, and it snaked away from the child maybe 10, 15 feet before disappearing into the inky blackness between two thick pine trunks. It wasn't rigid. It seemed to have a slot, almost imperceptible flexibility, like a massive, sluggish umbilical cord made of shadow. It didn't reflect any light from my headlamps. It just absorbed it. My breath hitched in my throat. My blood, which had been cold before, now felt like it had frozen solid. This wasn't just wrong. This was impossible, unnatural. The kid was still trying to coax me. Are you gonna help me? It's just there. You're so close, my voice. When I finally found, it was barely a whisper. I couldn't take my eyes off that appendage, kid. What? What is that behind you? The kid flinched. Not a big movement, just a tiny, almost imperceptible tightening of their small frame. Their head, which had been tilted pleadingly, straightened. The blankness on their face seemed to solidify. What they asked. Their voice suddenly devoid of that pleading tone. It was flat again, colder than that thing. I stammered, pointing with a shaking finger. Coming out of your back, going into the woods? What is that? The kid didn't turn to look. They didn't need to their gaze. Those dark, unseen eyes. Bored into me, it's nothing. They said the voice was still small, but it had a new edge to it, a hardness. You're seeing things. You're tired. They were using my own earlier rationalization against me. No, I said, my voice gaining a tremor of conviction, born of sheer terror. I'm not, I see it, it's right there.